Big Z Reviews.
Hi, my name's Brandon Zarzyczny, but you can call me Big Z, and today I'm doing a book review for a new fantasy novel, Fourth Wing, by Rebecca Yarros. And this is the first book I've read of hers, but she's done like a bunch of other books previously, and I think it's her first foray into fantasy, and this is definitely, like, I would call this young adult fantasy, except there is like a graphic sex scene, like a whole chapter is like fully descriptive sex. So it's like not really young adult, but the writing is very young adult. And I like, a lot of people are raving about it. So I thought I'd check it out. I love dragons and I love magic schools. And this is like this is mainly like a book about a magic school for dragon riders. So I was like, that's like sounds right up my alley. And I definitely like parts of it, but the writing is definitely on the very modern side. Like, there's a lot of modern verbiage that it took me out a little bit. Like, I don't mind it usually, but there's like a lot of it, especially whenever revolved around like horniness. Like, this book is very horny at times, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like it always felt out of place almost. Like, I'm reading like a young adult fantasy novel, and then she's talking about how wet she is. And it's like, well, okay, cool, I'm okay. And they get to like fully graphic sex scenes, and it's like I know that other books do it, but this is the way it's written. It reads like something else. Like it reads like a little like smut, not necessarily in a bad way, but it surprised me. Like, I was like, it wasn't like, a lot of times other fantasy novels, they're mostly written by men, and when you get to the sex, it can be, sometimes they don't even talk about it at all. Other times they're like too descriptive. A lot of times they wham bam, thank you ma'am. But this is like a full chapter sex scene, and it's like all there, and it's interesting. So this book mainly stars Violet Thorngale. Like, she is your viewpoint character, and she is like in this world. Like, one thing I will say, that I wish there was more exploration of this world outside of the school, but you're only ever in this school. But she is preparing to go into the scribe quadrant. She's training to become a scribe. But, a little bit before this book, her father died, and her mother, who is like the commander, like the second most powerful general in the whole army, like, she tells her, you're not going to be a scribe. No daughter of mine is going to be a scribe. You're going to be a dragon rider. And like, to be a dragon rider is a very deadly like challenge. Like, there are only a certain number of dragons that will be available each year for new riders to bond with. And that, that the dragons, they want a powerful person to bond with, like a strong and intelligent and able to survive. Because like, when they form a bond, like, dragons can form new bonds with humans. Humans, if the dragon dies, human dies. But like, they still don't want to bond with a weakling. And Violet is a weakling. Like, she hasn't really trained except for the past like 6 months to be a dragon rider. She's been training her mind, and she also has these like weak joints, like a syndrome where like she keeps like dislocating her knee and her elbows and stuff. That, like, although it makes her extra flexible, if you know what I'm saying, But it is the whole idea that once she gets there, there's a Zayden Riorson, and he is the really handsome older man that hates her guts because her mother puts his father to death as a traitor, but like he has all the traitors they're able to prove their name to like by serve the country by becoming dragon riders, and that like and there's a whole shenanigans with them. You know, there's also a little bit of a love triangle where there's like this other boy that she's been friends with her whole life, but is like like follow the rules to the T, and that maybe like she's not as hot as Zayden, you know. I know it sounds goofy me describing it, but you know the tropes. It fits in with all the tropes. You know what I'm saying. But you know, when they're doing the whole like trials and they doing that, she has to survive, and like there's this guy that kind of wants to kill her, and there's other people like once she gets a dragon. I'm not gonna spoil too much of this stuff, but like the people that didn't get dragons want to kill. She's like a person that they could kill and maybe bond her dragons before the bond has become strong enough. And you know, there's this all of that stuff is great, and I loved it. Like, and I actually said I already pre-ordered the next book, and I think it's cool. This is a new publisher. This is Entangled Publishing, and they do like these for their first edition. They do these like spray painted edges, which is like are really cool. Like if you buy them now, they're not gonna have like those edges, so they give them more incentives for pre-ordering the books. And like I said, I did pre-order it because I enjoyed it enough that I want to keep reading. It's something that's odd about it. Like all of like it's very tropey and it's very enjoyable. Like the writing is easy to read and it's easy to follow, and it's like the action. I kind of like in my mind, I pictured it slightly with like Avatar, but with magic. Like when the whole like the riding the dragon thing, the connecting with them, bonding them, but more magical. And you know, it's the dragons are really interesting, and like how the whole magic of it, how like when they bond with a dragon, they get like that like gives them a path to the magic. And like their connection, they never know what it's gonna be. Their power is gonna be completely unique. But like some people that like get mind reading abilities, and they don't know how to control it. If you get mind reading ability, that they put you to death because like it's so dangerous, and that they have so much trouble controlling it. And like it's a lot of times like if you don't like if your ability doesn't manifest, you like explode from magical being overrun by magical power. And there's like a lot of interesting stuff here. And this like the Zayden, he can like control the shadows. Like he's like the hot shadow boy. Oh yeah. And it's like it's a lot of fun. I can see why people like it. But definitely it's like young adult. It's like it's an adult fantasy book that like reads like a young adult book until you get to the sex chapters, but it's the sex scenes are well done. I just found some of the writing to be a little like I said, too modern and too like it felt like she could just be a girl from today's world, even though it's like a magic world. And for the world building, there's a lot more to be explored. There's like a lot of stuff that like maybe people aren't telling the truth about stuff, but it's kind of an interesting idea where they're in like a valley and the dragons provide like a barrier around all of it that protect everyone. But there are other people that want to come in and they ride like griffins or something like that like they're like the mortal enemies of the dragons and the dragon riders. But then there's actually might be a different mortal enemy to everyone, like humans that found a way to magic without another beast and it's completely tainted them. And like all that stuff is like some of the battle scenes are really well written. I really enjoyed them. So it's definitely overall it's a good book. I probably give like an 8 out of 10, 8.25, 8.5 out. Like an 8 out of 10 I think is a good score for me. Just because it's some stuff is odd about it, but I still really enjoyed it. You know, it's Fourth Wing is interesting. I would be curious to see what she does with the rest of the series. Like I would recommend it, but definitely with some caveats. But thanks for watching. If you want to see more of me, you can subscribe down below. Thanks.